talk first about the visitation and get that over with, okay?
All right.
Ms. Padgett, will you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your name.
Laura Padgett.
Do you go by Laura Vannoy-Padgett?
Yes.
And your age?
I'm 51.
Your address?
733 Wexford Way in Madisonville.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Where do you work, please?
I work for, I just started the job last week, Mid-America Rehab Systems.
Has there ever been any physical abuse involved by his father? That you Okay. And do you know it's unusual for the court to restrict visitation of a 17-year-old unless there's been some allegations of physical abuse?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. Ms. Padgett, have you ever been a member of Scientology?
I object to this, Your Honor. I think we've been through all this. Can we take just a second break? I've got to step in.
Okay. Before we left, Mr. Pro asked you if you had ever been a member of the Scientology. And now, I recognize that in this file that has been an issue, and that there's been testimony and documentation and allegations and so forth made about yours and Mr. Padgett's religious beliefs or non-beliefs or criticisms or non-criticisms and so forth. Mr. Pro is about to submit a deposition of someone who says that it's his assertion that they, that members of a certain faith typically discourage visitation with another party who is critical of that faith. Whether or not you are a member of Scientology, are you discouraging contact or visitation between Mr. Padgett and his children?
Well, I still want an answer to my question,
Which is?
If she ever been a member of Scientology. Due to motive that is going to be established by this expert, I think this goes to her motive.
But what I'm saying is I think that's already in the file, isn't it?
This deposition is. I'm asking, I want to answer the question today under oath.
But I think that she's testified 1,000 times back before that, and Tom has testified too, that we're both members of Scientology. Your question is, has she been a member?
Then the only question left would be, is she a current member of Scientology? Due to the motive that this expert testimony would show.
I don't see that has any back.
Do you have
I've
any
objected
objection
to
to
every
answering
bit of
that?
this testimony.
I just, really and truly, I'm not here to defend or discuss Scientology. I can tell you my beliefs.
And I'm not asking what your beliefs. Are you a member of his question is are you a member of that particular group?
Yes, I'm a member. I have been a member for, because I've actually.
Since you testify that you are a member of Scientology, are you aware of a doctrine in Scientology that a former member or a person who criticizes Scientology?
I'm going to let him ask if she's aware of the doctrine and if she practices the doctrine, because I think that's pertinent.
Well, I've objected to almost every question from this guy because it was, and I think that those are going to have to be ruled on.
And I would stipulate that this hearing is about 3 issues, and I think this goes highly in regard to restricted visitation. I think this goes to motive on restricted visitation. That's the only way that I'm asking.
If she is aware of such a doctrine.
And that's what I'm going to do.
And if she abides by such a doctrine.
That's what I'm going to do.
And that's as far as we probably need to go.
As far as I think I was going to go. Are you, let me start over, are you aware of a doctrine in Scientology where a former member or a member or someone that criticizes Scientology, that person that's a former member who attacks Scientology is attacked by the group of Scientology for expressing those anti-Scientology beliefs?
No.
You're not aware of a doctrine?
That they're attacked? No, I'm not.
Well, you've put my choice of words, which makes me question whether that something is done to these persons. Are they criticized for expressing those beliefs?
Are you asking me to, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Are you asking me to Scientology criticize Tom Padgett?
Are you aware of what a suppressive person means in Scientology?
Yes, I am.
Could you tell the court what a suppressive person means?
Do you want...
This is going along, this is the doctrine that I'm asking her about, and I think it's relevant to the visitation issue. It may be even relevant to the
Is the suppression created by his continuous fight, the two tapes on the pickets in Florida that he goes to all the time, the two speeches that he's delivered on the internet? If Scientology is after him, is it because of her, or is it because of what he has publicly done
I've
himself?
just asked a question for the doctrine, and she was going to describe that doctrine to the court.
I'm not going to describe a doctrine because I don't know what it is that you're asking me.
Well, you said you were aware what a suppressive person was in Scientology,
yes.
and that's the answer that I was wanting to get on the record.
That's a doctrine.
What is a suppressive person in Scientology?
It's basically someone who invalidates or squashes people in their vicinity, or tries to belittle someone, or wreak havoc or something like that.
So someone who criticizes Scientology would be viewed as a Scientologist as a suppressive person?
No.
Do you know if Tom Padgett is considered a suppressive person by Scientology?
No, he's not.
Do you know if Scientology, if ever any members of Scientology has attacked Mr. Padgett's career opportunities?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is it possible that members of Scientology have
Object to
attacked?
that. Is it possible?
We're getting way off.
Yeah, I don't want to get off into the. Are you aware of in regard to the suppressive person? Are you and I'm getting this from Dr. Kent, whose testimony is in the record.
Is
Objected to.
Objected to, but it's objected to, but it's in the record.
Is he an expert on Scientology?
We've attempted to establish that he's an expert on Scientology, and he submitted several pages of a
He's
CV to
professor
verify
of
that.
sociology at University
Who has
of
studied
Alberta.
Scientology for 15 years. But my question is, Dr. Kent, in his deposition, has stated that a former member of Scientology who now attacks Scientology would be considered a suppressive person by Scientology. Dr. Kent also said in his testimony that a member of Scientology would want to restrict contact between their children and this suppressive person. So in this case would be to restrict contact between Tom and his children because he is a suppressive person. That's Dr. Kent's testimony.
Who said he's a suppressive person?
Dr. Kent has said in his opinion he's a suppressive person.
I haven't ever heard that.
That's my question. Do you agree or disagree with Dr. Kent that a member of Scientology would want to avoid contact between their children and a suppressive person?
I don't know what you're asking me. I can tell you what I am doing, okay? I am, as a parent, trying to make sure that Tom is able to see his children. I am not calling Tom a suppressive person.
Are you aware of persons calling Tom a suppressive person?
No, I'm not.
And I understand that's your testimony, Mrs. Padgett. What we're trying to get at is if there's other motives for what you're attempting to do, because Dr. Kent has testified to.
She's already testified.
I think we're far enough
getting
into this.
Okay. I'm going to submit Dr. Kent's deposition into the record.
Let it reflect all of the objections that I've raised during the taking of the testimony.
And my
Whether he was even
response is-
qualified as a sociology teacher.
And my responses to the objections all in the record as well.
Okay.
So.
Objections are noted. Responses are noted.
My turn?
I've really only done on the visitation, but I maybe just have a few questions on her income, but we've covered most of it. Let me just go ahead and maybe just a couple questions.
What questions you got on her income?
Not much. Besides, you testified to your current job. What was your former job that you just left?
My former job was I was a speech pathologist and a rehab director.
And what was your salary last year?
You got it there. I think it was 60 something. When when managed care came into effect about 2 years ago, the federal government made a lot of changes that affected nursing homes, and I got a considerable pay cut. So it actually is like 60 something.
And what was your reason for leaving that job?
Well, the main reason was I was working way too many hours, and I had to go to a couple of different nursing homes, and I was getting home. I was having to work a lot of weekends and late into the evenings, and I just decided that it was. I actually was able to find another job that had a comparable salary, not the exact same, but or pay, and I just felt like I needed to be home more for Bo.
And for your information, I've just done the numbers. She lists adjusted gross income of $64,075 on what I'm looking at. Now that may not be the final number,
Yeah, I
We're
think
close
that's
when you
right.
figure that for you.
but
That's
her
what I was-
current income is going to be $64,480. So she's
Pretty
actually
close.
making $400 more.
Okay. And besides your employment now at Mid-America Rehab Systems, do you have any other sources of income?
No, I actually was going to try to work. Well, I actually have been trying to sell like long distance, but I haven't done anything with it. I made like $13 in a year, so no, I don't have any. I had they also paid me mileage at my other job, so I'd get a check for that. You know, depending on, it was like 34.5 cents a mile.
Now, since income information is going to be submitted since back to 1997, have you had any other sources of income other than your employment since 1997, other than this long distance?
My parents have helped me with a lot, as a matter of fact, but no, I don't have any other sources of income.
So your parents helped you, were they giving you loans, or just giving you money, or?
They've given me money for legal fees, and they've actually helped with Julie's college too, some of it.
Besides your parents, have you received any funds from any other sources for your legal fees or any other thing?
No,
Are you the beneficiary of any trusts,
no,
any foundation or any other kind of fund?
no.
And again, besides your parents, you never received any help on your legal bills from anywhere else?
No.
Have you ever received any financial assistance since 1997, since the time frame that we're in, from Scientology, from the Church of Scientology?
No.
Have you received any legal assistance from Church of Scientology?
No.
Have your attorneys ever received any assistance from attorneys with Scientology?
No.
No.
Okay.
That was the last flyer that went out, and I was employed by some.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Padgett. Do your tax returns accurately reflect what your actual income is?
Yes.
Do you have any source of information that's not reported on your tax returns?
No.
Okay.
Those questions sound familiar. I think I asked them to Mr. Padgett. Now, you've heard me and Mr. Willage go back and forth in regard to these income issues, and just briefly, going back, what was the original support when this action started? Let me give you an amount and let me know if that's correct. Was originally Tom paying $1,123 in support, thereabouts, at the very beginning? That's what the child support was set at?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was like 11.23.
Okay. And that, what was the reason for that being changed by the court? Do you recall?
No, I don't.
Do you recall it being changed by the commissioner's report from Hank Hinton, I believe, made a decision that lowered her child support?
No, not really. I mean, I could go back and look.
Well, do you recall being reduced to $265.34 a month?
I don't remember that amount. I remember what I'm getting now. But.
Well, was there a different amount between the $1,123 and what you're receiving now?
You know, I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just interject.
Is he
never
paying-
did pay it, so she didn't know what he was to pay because she never received any of the checks.
Is he paying your child support now?
Yes, but I guess we'll get into that. There was
Well,
one
we
recently.
have 25 minutes.
Yeah, and I've got
There was
some
one
questions on
recently that he didn't that he did not pay me. The most recent one he didn't pay me. He paid me, sent me a check for like $100 and something.
There was 2 tax returns intercepted, I think this year, that made up the difference. And there was a question whether those intercepted went to the arrearage or not, but our position is that the January 99 order on the arrearage, everything on arrearage is in the court. Is in the court. You know, the court is holding those funds. So those interceptions had to have gone to current support because the arrearage is being held.
But they didn't. And we've already notified Mr. Massimo that he's not complying with the order. He sent 100.
Well, there is the only arrearage the court would be holding, alleged arrearage the court would be holding, so they have to go to current support.
The current order is he's
But
to pay $6,000.
usually tax intercepts do not go to current support.
Well, there's nothing else for it to go for because there is no arrearage
She never
established.
did get it. She didn't get it.
There's no arrearage established.
She won't get it until October.
She won't.
All those have been intercepted.
So you see, then he's just arbitrarily deducted the
I
child.
wouldn't say
He used to do
arbitrary.
that.
He paid the
Used
amount.
to do that too.
Okay.
Well, but
How much of the tax
besides this month, has the support been current since January of '99, or maybe later than that? But let's say the last 2000, 2001, has the support been current other than August?
I don't know if I can testify to that or not. I have to go.
See, what he did is he got to fudge it a day, a month, and he got it right at the end of the month. Can you explain how he was doing that?
I don't know if I can or not. I can just tell you that sometimes he would pay. He was supposed to pay by like the beginning of the month, and then so he started changing the dates. Is that what you're talking about? So that I wouldn't necessarily get it in, like if it's for, I would get the support for June in July, for example. So he's sort of like moving it back. And so it's off. It's like he's not truly current at the moment.
And we're going to have to leave it up to child support unit because.
But there's no.
Does she have an active case of the child
Yes, she
support
does.
unit?
Yeah, I don't think there's any huge arrearage other than what the court is holding for you to determine the arrearage. There was a bank account set up as part of the criminal action where the support was paid from a local bank. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Harold Sloop was writing the checks.
No, there was never any paid out there. They
Well,
never paid a penny.
Well, who were the checks you were receiving coming from?
They
Child
come from
support
the child
unit.
support unit.
Well,
See,
that was paying those. There was a local bank that the checks were coming to the child support unit every month for the last 2 years until recently.
I don't think. I think you can go back and get that checking account. But the problem is
But in short, I don't think that we're talking about any kind of significant arrearage in the last 2 years.
See, the court can take judicial notice from the
whatever
child support unit of his payment.
But for our purposes here today,
All right. Because before it went to the grand jury, it was in the child support unit. And don't cut me so short. I don't get to ask my few questions.
but the support now that was set in November 1997 is still the same, $699.60.
Right.
And your daughter has been emancipated since that was set. She turned 18 and graduated high school.
Right.
Okay. Do you have any personal knowledge of Mr. Padgett's income?
Of his income, no.
Okay. And you received the $10,000 that was posted for bond in a lump sum?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any health problems that Mr. Padgett has?
I'm aware of what he's communicated.
When you were married, were you aware of any health problems?
I knew that he had had back surgery and he had for a herniated disc or something like that some years before. And if he did exercises, and actually if he would like stretch himself out, it would seem to relieve the problems that he was having.
Are you aware he's filed for Social Security disability?
I heard that on the tape.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
All right.